Hi guys, it's Miss Keith again, coming with your daily lesson. So today we are going to start with a question. We're going to say, what is a unit fraction? So we're asking ourselves, what is a unit fraction? Think about that for a minute. Okay, well, we know what a fraction is, but what is a unit fraction? A unit fraction is going to be a fraction that describes one part of the whole. So a fraction that describes one part of the whole. I put in all caps 1 because it's important when we talk about unit fractions, because all unit fractions are going to have 1 as the numerator. So for example, one part, better get off highlighter, one part of the whole would be 1/4 is a unit fraction because that's showing one part of the 4 parts to make a whole. So there are many other unit fractions, probably a billion out there that you could come up with, that are all unit fractions. So as long as a 1's on the top, it's a unit fraction. Okay, so when a whole is divided into 4 equal parts, each part is going to be described as 1/4. So I wrote 1/4 in each part here. So you can see each of them have 1/4 in them. So if I were to, let's say, describe 3 of them, I'm going to highlight 1, 2, 3 of them, then I would say what part is highlighted, and then you would be answering the 3/4, right? So 3/4 of it is highlighted. So if we wanted to name 3 of the 1/4, we'd say 3/4. We can use multiplication and a unit fraction to show 3/4. For example, 3/4 is equal to 3 sets of, or times, 1/4. Remember how we talked about multiplication being repeated addition? Well, that's the same as this way. So how many 1/4 did we repeat? 3. 3 1/4 is equal to 3/4. So looking at this picture, it's pretty easy to see that 3 times 1/4 is 3/4. And if you're excited, get excited because you just solved a multiplication problem with fractions. Good job. Okay, so now let's try another one. Let's say we want to equal 2/3. So our product is going to be 2/3. Well, we are going to multiply 1/3 by what? So how many groups of 1/3 is equal to 2/3? So this should be pretty easy. How many groups of 1/3 would we need for 2/3? We would need 2, right? Because 2 groups of 1/3 would equal 2/3. Okay, so let's make up one with 6/5. So now I'm not even going to give you the unit fraction. I want you to try to think about what the unit fraction should be. So if we want it to be 6/5, what multiplication sentence could we come up with to have the product be 6/5? So as you think about that, what unit fraction would go with 6/5? Well, as we notice, our denominator has been staying the same, and so that means if our denominator needs to stay the same, I'm going to put a 5 in the denominator. Well, what always goes on the numerator when it's a unit fraction? A 1, right? Unit fractions always have 1 as the numerator. So now we know we're going to multiply, and then 1/5 times what would be 6/5. So this was just like the one before. How many 1/5 would we need? How many groups of 1/5 would we need to get to 6/5? 6. So 1/5 times 6 would be 6/5. Okay, let's do one more practice. So we've got 3/2. Okay, so we first have to come with our unit fraction. Well, what do we know in our unit fraction our denominator has to be? Ding, 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 the 2. So we got to keep that 2 right here. Now we have to ask ourselves, in a unit fraction, what is our numerator always? 1. This is almost too easy. We know we want to multiply. We're trying to find the product. So we're multiplying. And then what should we multiply it by? How many 1/2 would we need to get equal 3/2? We need 3. So the answer would be 1/2 times 3, and that equals 3/2. I think you guys are ready to do some on your own. Okay, so here's what I want you to do on Edmodo. I want you to answer this problem. 9/4 as the product what would you multiply? What unit fraction should go here? And then what whole number would you multiply it by to get to 9/4? Then you're going to explain what a unit fraction is. So you have two things to answer on Edmodo. The answer to this problem right here, and what is a unit fraction. Explain what that is. Have fun, and I will see you guys tomorrow in class.